I'm going to be reading I Need My Monster. Little boy looking under his bed. Heavens. I need my monster. Tonight, when I looked under my bed for my monster, I found this note instead. Gone fishing, back in a week. Gabe. What was I going to do? I needed a monster under my bed. How was I supposed to get any sleep if my monster was gone? There's no monster under his bed. I tried to sleep, but it wasn't the same without Gabe. I missed his ragged breath, his nose whistling, the scrabbling of his uncut claws. How would I ever get to sleep without Gabe's familiar, scary noises and spooky green ooze? It was no use. Gabe would be gone for a week, and I just had to have a monster. So his breathing, his whistling, his scraping of his nails, and his green goo. I climbed quietly out of my bed so my parents wouldn't hear me. Grown-ups have strange ideas about monsters under beds. I knocked on floorboards and scrambled back under my covers. I waited nervously. Would a monster appear? What would he be like? Would his snorting be as cheerful as Gabe's? So there he goes, knocking on the floor to try to get a new monster under his bed. When I heard some creaking under my bed, I knew the substitute monster had arrived. Good evening, said a low, breathy voice. My name is Herbert, and I will be your monster for the evening. Herbert? What kind of name is that for a monster? You don't sound scary at all. Have you ever scared a kid before? Well, no, but I've read all the books on the topic. Do you have long teeth and scratchy claws? I asked. No, but I have an overbite, and I'm a mouth breather. Listen. Herbert's panting was kind of scary, but it wasn't enough for me. So here's our boy, and here's Herbert, his new monster, right under his bed. Listen, Herbert, I'm sorry. I don't think this is going to work. It's nothing personal, but we really need a monster with claws. Picky, Herbert complained. As you wish, I'll go. There was some more creaking, and then Herbert was gone. So here's Herbert. He didn't have claws. He needed to be just a little bit scarier. Some scratching warned me that a second monster had appeared. Good evening, he said in a high, silky voice. My name is Ralph. I understand you need a monster with claws. If you'd please lean over, I will hold out an arm for inspection. I crouched at the edge of my bed, hoping to see horribly shaggy arms with sharp, ragged nails. I see some eyes. So he's a little bit nervous, seeing some eyes. Got my dog here for assistance. Hi, Stanley. He might be whining. Don't let him bother you. Excuse me, sir. Instead, I was surprised to see sleeky brushed fur with smooth, shiny claws. Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but is that nail polish on your claws? Yes, it is, Ralph replied. I believe professional monsters should always be well-groomed. Those are his fancy nails. I could tell that this was not going to work either. Sorry to disappoint you, Ralph, but I need a monster with scary claws like Gabe's, I thought. I heard some more scratching, and I knew Ralph was gone. There's our monster, Ralph. A minute later, a third voice from under the bed rasped, Check out these claws, kid. I gathered my courage and peered over the edge of the bed. The claws were impressive, jagged, dark, and razor sharp. So far, so good. I was a little nervous. Could you stick out your tail? I whispered. Sure, but don't get scared. Here's the tail. I peeked through my fingers at the slimy tail slithering over the foot of my bed. That's when I noticed the bow. Are you a girl monster? Of course I am, she snapped. I'm Cynthia. Do you have a problem with that? Yeah, I do, I admitted. I definitely need a boy monster. Boy monsters are for boys and girl monsters are for girls. Everybody knows that. Well, aren't you a picky one? She sniffed, and then she was gone. She had a big old tail. She had the claws, but he wanted a boy monster. Was I being too picky? No. I knew that my monster needed to be well-clawed and menacing. The whole point of having a monster, after all, was to keep me in bed, imagining all the scary stuff that could happen if I got out. So here are his ideas of all the monsters that he has had, wants to have. They gotta be scary. He's looking awfully sad. He wants his monster back. Then I heard a shuffling noise and some slobbering. A fourth monster was under my bed. Hey, the name's Mac. Oh, look at his claws. Proved that Mac was a boy. A scruffy boy monster. I shivered. Maybe this would work out. Here's his foot. Under the bed. Those are excellent claws. Do you have a long tail? I leaned over. No, my tail is stumpy, Mac slurped. But I do have an unusually long tongue. Why would I be afraid of a long tongue? I asked. Oh, I don't know, he said, trying to sound terrifying. You never know when I might lick you. I fell back on the bed laughing. He's not very scary, this monster. Well, if you're not even going to try to work with me, Mac whined. I held my giggles. I really don't think you should send me away, he warned. Kids who reject 5 monsters in one night. I did not reject 5 monsters tonight, I interrupted. My regular monster went fishing. Fishing, huh? Maybe you left because you're so picky. Fine, I'm out of here, but I wouldn't expect another monster tonight if I were you. He does not look very happy. How was I going to sleep without my monster? I don't know. I was surprised to hear more creaking under the bed, loud creaking, with scratching. I thought no more monsters were going to appear tonight, I said. Sorry, I'm late, kid. Whew, it was Gabe. Here's Gabe under his bed. I thought I would enjoy fishing, but I didn't, he explained. Those fish scare too easily. No challenge at all. You, however, are challenging, my friend. You're almost too old to be afraid of monsters. You keep me on my toes. Ah, toes. A delicious snack. Stanley, lay down. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to start the evening with my ominous puddle of drool. I peeked over the bed at the green ooze spread soundlessly underneath. Here comes the green ooze. Now he's looking pretty happy. He's gonna have his monster. Then the bed trembled as Gabe unfurled his spiked tail. He was daring me to guess where he might pop up. I shivered. Here's his big tail. Right from under his bed. I don't know how he fits under there. So you had some substitute monsters tonight, Gabe said, sharpening his claws at my bedpost. Were you scared? Again, Gabe started tapping. I could tell he wanted to know if I still needed him. There's his big monster. No other monster can scare me like you, I giggled, diving under my covers and pulling them up tight. Through the blanket, I heard Gabe's soft, comforting snorts. I knew it. We were made for each other. There he is, hiding under his blanket. Happy his monster's back. Whoop. Can't turn the page. Oh, dear. All right. When my blanket started to slip off my bed, I knew Gabe was ready to eat. Now, if you could please stick out your foot, he said. I'd like to nibble your pinky. He's trying to pull his blanket right off of the bed. I yanked my blanket back up and scrunched my feet in so Gabe couldn't get them. No toes tonight, but you can have this. I offered a pillow, pushing it off the bed. I didn't even hear it hit the floor. Look at the feathers. Gabe, he ate that pillow right up. Gabe was back. The ooze was perfect. Everything was back to normal. I shivered again. I would be asleep in no time. So he needed his monster. And there's Gabe, sleeping under his bed. I need my monster.